In the year 2120, humanity has found 3 ways to live forever. Some people have turned themselves into cyborgs, humans with robotic parts. Others created synthetic beings, pure machines with advanced intelligence. And then came the hybrids, a mix of both, made by downloading a human mind into a synthetic body. Whichever of these succeeds will decide who controls the universe. A spaceship called Majno has been traveling through space for 65 years. When the crew finally wakes up from their long sleep, Captain Danail tells them the communication system is down and the log files are corrupted, but he blames it on a glitch. The ship is also using too much fuel, so he orders the team to shut down one of the systems. The mechanic Kelm suggests getting rid of the strange alien creatures the scientist brought aboard, but the security cyborg Moro reminds him that those creatures are the mission. Scientist Tribune feeds the creatures. Some are tiny and locked in glass pods, while others are big, dangerous, and move restlessly behind thick walls. Once the system checks are done, the crew returns to their sleeping pods. Back on Earth, there's a secret research lab called Neverland, owned by a massive company known as Prodigy Corporation. Inside, young Marcy is being taught about scorpions when she's interrupted by Dr. Sylvia, who says it's time. Marcy is terminally ill, and today she'll become part of a new experiment. Her mind will be moved into a synthetic body. Company founder Dr. Cavalier explains that Marcy will be the first human ever to be reborn as a hybrid. Half human, half synthetic. During the operation, Marcy relives her childhood memories as her mind is uploaded into the new body. When she wakes up, she's healthy, strong, and can do things no human can, jumping from great heights and landing without a scratch. Now going by the name Wendy, she's given an adult body, even though she still thinks like a child. Dr. Kurz tells her that synthetic bodies don't produce human hormones, so she won't feel emotions the way humans do. Sylvia adds that more sick children will soon arrive to go through the same process, and Wendy's job is to help them adjust. She happily plays with the new kids, showing off her strength. Each child gets a new body, and together they're called the Lost Boys. Meanwhile, back on the Majno, something terrible happens. A strange alien creature escapes and begins killing the crew. Moro locks himself in the computer room and tells the ship's AI that all the specimens have broken free. A crew member named Avery begs him to open the door, but instead Moro seals it shut with a torch. The creature, a deadly xenomorph, finds Avery and attacks, killing her instantly. Moro warns the AI that they'll have to crash the ship on Earth to prevent the creatures from spreading. He hides in a sealed chamber as the xenomorph keeps pounding on the door. On Earth, Marcy's brother Hermit works for Prodigy in the city of New Cyan. Wendy watches him through security cameras and remembers their childhood together. While Hermit talks with his coworkers on a rooftop, a massive explosion shakes the city. The Majno has crashed. Hermit and his rescue team rush to the site, helping people escape as debris falls everywhere. They enter the destroyed ship through a large hole in the hull. Inside, Moro escapes his chamber and finds the crew's dead bodies scattered everywhere. He spots Hermit's team on the security feed and contacts Prodigy's partner company, Weyland-Yutani, warning them about the situation. At Neverland, Dr. Cavalier orders his people to collect everything from the crash site. When Wendy sees her brother on the monitors, she asks to go help, and Cavalier allows it under Kerr's supervision. Back in the wreckage, Hermit's soldiers are suddenly attacked by the xenomorph. Moro appears and traps 2 of them, demanding to know where Dr. Cavalier is. He places strange bugs on their heads, and the insects slowly drain them to death. Meanwhile, Hermit and his friends explore the science room, finding frozen pods filled with corpses. Their radios are too full of static to call for help. They notice the crew's bodies look weeks old, even though the ship just crashed. As they move through the halls, they don't realize the alien is watching from above. One by one, it begins hunting them down. When Hermit tries to escape by jumping across a broken floor, the alien attacks, sending him crashing to the next level. He manages to reach an elevator and uses his radio to call for backup, but only gets static in return. A flashback shows that just the day before, Hermit had tried to end his contract with Prodigy. But now, it's too late to walk away. Hermit is told that he still has to work 7 more months. Everyone in the control room panics when the robot system goes out of control, but they manage to fix it and bring it back to normal. At the crash site, Wendy and her team arrive. She keeps hearing a strange noise that no one else can hear. When she hacks into the security cameras, she sees her brother, Hermit, trapped inside an elevator. Without wasting time, she rushes into the building to help him. The sound gets louder and stronger the closer she gets. Curse orders Slightly to follow her, while he leads the rest of the Lost Boys into the building. Hershey's team soon enters the ship and finds strange alien plants hanging from the ceiling. They also find drained bodies everywhere and spot a small leech-like alien crawling away, covered in blood. Then they notice a cat licking the blood on the floor. But suddenly, an eyeball creature jumps from the cat's face, killing it instantly. The alien tries to attack Nibs, but she blocks it with her hands and throws it on a table. They quickly trap it in a tray. Kirk connects himself to the ship's computer and discovers that this was once a research vessel. Meanwhile, Hermit bumps into Burgerfeld, and they decide to search together. When they knock on an apartment door, they find people having a costume party. The host refuses to leave, but before they can argue, the xenomorph appears. It kills Burgerfeld instantly and tosses his body around the room. The gunfire from Burgerfeld's weapon causes panic, and the guests run inside screaming. The xenomorph follows them, crashes the party, and kills everyone inside. After it throws Burgerfeld's body at Hermit, the whole room turns into a bloody mess. Just as the xenomorph jumps from the balcony to kill Hermit, Moro appears and stuns the creature with an electric weapon. Then he shocks Hermit too, covering the alien with a special cocoon before dragging it away. When Moro reaches the elevator, Prodigy soldiers surround him and try to arrest him. Their argument gives the xenomorph time to wake up and break free. It kills the soldiers one by one and goes after Moro. But suddenly, it hears mysterious voices and runs away. Elsewhere, Toodles is looking at a strange alien plant and brings it close to his face, but it doesn't attack him. He quietly walks past it and meets up with the others. Back in the control room, Hershey checks the computer files and finds old footage showing a room full of alien eggs. He tells Wendy through her earpiece to go find that place. He also reads that there are 5 unknown alien species on the ship. Cavalier then calls and orders his people to collect every living sample and bring them to Neverland. Meanwhile, Hermit wakes up inside a luxury apartment and finds an old baseball that reminds him of his childhood. Suddenly, Wendy and Slightly appear. They convince him to go with them. As they walk down the corridor, Wendy finally tells him the truth about who she really is. Hermit doesn't believe her at first, so he asks questions about their childhood to test her. She answers everything correctly, and he realizes she's really his sister. He hugs her with tears in his eyes. The 3 of them soon find the egg room. Wendy can hear that strange noise again. One of the eggs moves when Hermit goes near it. Suddenly, the xenomorph bursts out and attacks Hermit, dragging him through a hole. Wendy chases after them, ignoring his warnings about a trap. Inside a shipping container, she finds him trapped in a cocoon and frees him. The xenomorph growls and walks away, but soon they hear it climbing on top of the container. Wendy waits for the right moment and stabs the ceiling, injuring it. Its acid blood burns through the metal, and the alien pushes the container until it falls. Hermit loses sight of Wendy. The xenomorph grabs him and tries to kill him, but Wendy pulls it off using a hook. She drags it toward a closing door, and Hermit hits the button, cutting off the alien's inner jaw. But before the door fully closes, the xenomorph grabs Wendy and drags her inside. Hermit bites the cables to reopen the door and finds the alien decapitated. Wendy collapses as a white liquid leaks from her head. Hermit vomits and passes out beside her. Meanwhile, Slightly finds the alien's shed skin and gets scared when he hears a noise. But it's just Moro. Suddenly, Moro grabs them both and threatens to shoot if they don't listen. He connects his brain to the ship's computer and downloads all the research data. Moro turns his arm into a blade and pushes Slightly while asking, "When is a machine not a machine?" He's interrupted when Curse enters. They argue about who owns the ship and its cargo. But just then, one of the eggs opens and Moro escapes through a hole in the wall. Later, Prodigy collects the Lost Boys, the rescue team, and the alien samples and takes them all to Neverland. Sylvia performs surgery on Wendy to repair her body, while Cavalier examines the alien specimens. When one of the eggs begins to open, he quickly orders the lab to be locked down. At night, Moro sneaks into the city, steals a phone, and calls the CEO of Weyland-Yutani. He says he has the data but not the creatures, and that he plans to get them back soon. Sometime later, Slightly starts hearing Moro's voice in his head. It turns out Moro placed a device on his neck when they met, so they can communicate secretly. Moro tells Slightly to help him, or else. Wendy wakes up feeling better, but still hears the strange sound. She follows it to the lab, where Curse and 2 of the Lost Boys are cutting into an alien egg. A small facehugger jumps out and grabs Curse's body. The sound in Wendy's head gets louder until she collapses. The doctors operate on her and remove one of her lungs, keeping it inside a tube for study. Curse drops the parasite into the same tank, and it attaches itself to her lung. Later, Hermit visits Wendy. Cavalier jokes about her new lung. Wendy tells everyone that the noise comes from the aliens. She believes they are trying to speak to her. When they test her hearing, she mimics the alien sound perfectly, shocking everyone in the room. Meanwhile, Slightly goes for a walk to talk to Moro privately. Moro tries to earn his trust, saying he just wants the aliens for study. But Curse, watching the footage, notices something strange on Slightly's neck. Later, Slightly returns to his room and finds Curse waiting. Curse warns him that if anyone sees or hears something unusual, they must report it. In the lab, the scientists test a small alien by placing it inside a glass cage with a sheep. The alien quickly jumps on the sheep and kills it, using its body to grow larger. Curse notes that the creature is highly intelligent. It can even reanimate dead tissue. Elsewhere, the head technician Arthur and his wife Sylvia talk in secret about what's happening. They believe the company might have sacrificed children to create these hybrids. Suddenly, Nibs bursts in and says she's pregnant. Sylvia explains it's impossible. Synthetic bodies can't have babies, but Nibs insists it's real. Sylvia tries to calm her and show her a diagram, but Nibs becomes violent and attacks her. The guards rush in and take Nibs away. Sylvia quietly tells them this is a level 3 emergency. When Adam reminds Hermit that answering questions is part of his contract, Hermit tries to quit. But Adam tells him this place is top secret. If Hermit leaves, he'll never see his sister again. Hermit gets angry, but when Adam adds that if he goes home, he'll also be billed for his new lungs, Hermit has no choice. He agrees to stay. At the same time, Cavalier tells Wendy that he'll finally let her go home, but in return, she must help him with the xenomorph research. Wendy agrees, hoping it'll give her a chance to escape. Later, Wendy sneaks into the lab to get an egg but bumps into Toodles, so she delays her plan and decides to come back later. Somewhere else, Slightly logs into his computer and spies on her. He's secretly talking to Moro. Slightly tells Moro he wants out, But Moro reveals he's at Slightly's house, with his mother, who thinks her son is dead. Afraid for his family, Slightly agrees to keep working for Moro. Moro orders him to bring a human test subject to the lab so the facehugger can infect them. That way, Moro can take samples from the infected body later. Meanwhile, Wendy goes to the lab and starts repeating strange sounds to communicate with the alien. Suddenly, a baby xenomorph bursts out of Hermit's lung and breaks the glass to escape. Wendy keeps making the sounds and somehow manages to calm the baby. She even pets it, while Curse watches quietly from nearby. Flashback. On the ship Majno, 17 days from Earth, Moro wakes up from cryosleep after a fire breaks out. Clem tells him 2 facehuggers have escaped. One killed Captain Danail, and the other attached itself to Bronsky. In the medical bay, Moro learns that Danail died when some crew members tried to remove the facehugger by force. Its blood burned through the captain's face. Bronsky is still alive, so they put him in cryosleep. Moro then discovers that the ship's navigation is heavily damaged. Now the Majno is flying more like a missile than a spaceship. He suspects there's a saboteur on board. After putting Bronsky to sleep, Moro checks the fire damage and finds a deep hole through several decks. Watching security footage, he sees an unknown figure in the background of the attacks. He tells the engineers the saboteur might be using the air ducts, so he asks for the ship's blueprints and grabs guns for himself and Clem. Their communication files with Earth are deleted, so Clem starts a recovery program. Later, Moro looks at his daughter's picture. She died in year 8 of the mission. All he got was a cold message from the company. Then Shoyu, the ship's AI, reports that fuel reserves are down to 8%. Moro realizes the saboteur knows exactly what they're doing. Suddenly, alarms go off. A cryopod has been breached. Moro and Avery rush in and find Bronsky dead, his pod glass melted open. The facehugger is gone. Moro gives Avery a stun gun and says they'll not wake the rest of the crew. That'll only cause chaos. In another room, Chibuzo feeds the alien creatures. One of them starts pounding its container, annoying her. She pushes it away, not noticing that the leech-like alien sprays parasites into her water bottle. Reem walks in just in time to see it, then puts the creature back in its capsule. After they leave, the alien keeps banging until it breaks free. The crew soon gathers to talk about what's happening. Malachi drinks from Chibuzo's water bottle, the one with the parasites. Moro tells everyone he's hidden the guns and promises a bonus to whoever helps find the saboteur. Moments later, Malachi starts vomiting blood and collapses. At the same time, they hear strange sounds in the walls. The alarms go off again. The alien has escaped. Moro runs to Tang, who explains that even if a pod says it's full, it might not really be. Moro checks the records and finds that Petrovic has been secretly contacting Cavalier. Cavalier promised Petrovic a new body if he could land the Majno on Prodigy territory. Moro rushes to the cryopods and confirms Petrovic's pod is empty. He then runs to the medbay where Malachi is dying. Scans show dark spots all over his organs. Reem and Chibuzo open him up and see strange insect-like things inside. They pull one out, but it sprays gas that kills them instantly. The small aliens burst out of Malachi's body and escape through the vents. Moments later, Tang is found dead too. Moro takes command. As he and Clem try to move down a corridor, Petrovic appears and opens fire. A shootout follows. Susan is hit, and Moro drags him into a lab. Petrovic follows and shoots Clem in the head. Moro fights back, slashing Petrovic's face and finally killing him. Meanwhile, the alien finds Avery. It whips her legs with its tail, making her fall. Avery runs, sealing doors behind her, but Moro keeps opening them. When Avery turns, she sees that Moro is being controlled by the eye alien. The xenomorph reaches the last door but can't open it. Moro tears it open with his bare hands and finds Avery on the floor staring at him. The eye alien jumps from Moro's head onto the xenomorph's face, starting a brutal fight. Avery uses the moment to run, but Moro locks himself in the computer room, sealing her out. The xenomorph kills Avery, then keeps pounding on the doors until the ship finally crashes on Earth. Days later, Moro meets with Wayland Yutani. He promises to deliver the alien samples and also plans to kill Cavalier. In the present, the baby xenomorph is locked up. Wendy still visits it, trying to communicate. Hermit worries about his sister and secretly looks for a way to escape with her. Nibs, one of the test subjects, starts feeling sick. The scientists think she's pregnant, but Sylvia says it's probably trauma. When Hermit protests and says it's wrong to mess with her mind, Sylvia fires him. Later, Utah and Cavalier meet. They argue about the Majno crash, each blaming the other. Utah offers Cavalier $20 billion to hand over the alien samples. Cavalier agrees, but says they'll stay in quarantine for 6 weeks first. That night, Nibs wakes up in her room with no memory of the past few days. When Wendy visits her, she quickly realizes something is off. Nibs starts shaking and panicking, so Wendy goes to confront Sylvia. She says she feels betrayed and doesn't support the alien experiments anymore. Sylvia asks what's wrong, and Wendy answers coldly, "You're the problem." In his room, Hermit is working on a plan to escape when Slightly shows up. Slightly keeps hearing Moro's voice in his head, telling him to hurry. He tries to convince Hermit to come with him to the lab, but before they can leave, Siberian shows up on patrol. Hermit keeps asking questions about the island's security, and Siberian starts to get suspicious. She warns him to stop whatever he's planning before it's too late. Meanwhile, in the lab, Wendy is still talking to the xenomorph. The creature is growing fast. Later, Toodles is given the job of feeding the aliens, but instead of bringing help like Kurz told him to, he decides to go alone. He puts a tray of food in each cell, but while doing that, he accidentally breaks one of the latches. He tries to fix it by opening the door to put the food back inside, but as soon as he does, the alien inside moves. The eye alien and the sheep inside the cage make a sudden noise that startles Toodles, and he falls. The door shuts behind him. Then a small alien bug lands on his arm and spits acid on his face, killing him instantly. It starts feeding on his body. Arthur is packing his things when Hermit shows up, asking him questions about the Prodigy Company. Since they're being watched by cameras, Arthur opens a computer and secretly types a message. He tells Hermit to escape with Wendy and gives him a code for a vault. He also disables the trackers on all the Lost Boys. After he leaves, the computer announces that Toodles has gone offline. Slightly tries to enter the lab but loses his nerve. At that moment, Arthur goes inside to check on Toodles, and Slightly follows. Arthur rushes to Toodles' body while Slightly quietly opens the egg cell. Then he locks the door and leaves. Arthur notices something strange about one of the eggs and tries to get out, but Slightly has locked him in. Before Arthur can call security, a facehugger jumps from the egg and attaches to his face. Kurs watches everything on the cameras but keeps silent. After Arthur collapses, Slightly comes back, drags the body out and hides it in his room. He tries to remove the creature from Arthur's face, but it only tightens its grip. Nibs walks in and sees what's happening. Slightly can't hide it anymore. He tells her that Moro threatened his family and that he had no choice. Nibs is scared but agrees to help. In the lab, the small alien bugs have escaped their cages and are destroying the equipment. Kurs and his soldiers rush in to capture them. Wendy also arrives and is heartbroken when she sees Toodles' body. She wants to tell everyone what's happening, but Cavalier and Kurs order her to stay quiet. When she tries to leave, the guards stop her. Wendy turns to the xenomorph, and the creature begins pounding on the cell door. Using the chaos, Wendy escapes. Cavalier panics and tells Kurs to find the other Lost Boys before she does. But when Kurs checks the system, he realizes all their trackers are offline. Hermit finds Wendy and tells her it's time to go. She agrees but wants to bring Nibs and the others too. Nibs comes along, but Curly refuses. They promise to keep the secret. Wendy hacks the lab system and releases the xenomorph from its cage. The alien bursts out, killing the scientists instantly. Alarms echo through the whole building. At the same time, Kurs catches Slightly sneaking around with Arthur's body. Instead of stopping him, Kurs gives him a safe path to the beach and tells him, "Don't be late." In the woods, Wendy, Hermit, and Nibs find some graves. They realize these are the real bodies of the kids who became hybrids. Suddenly, they see soldiers in the distance and start moving faster. Slightly and Nibs are also running through the woods when they spot soldiers nearby. They hide in the bushes. When the area is clear, they turn around and find Arthur standing behind them. He looks normal but confused. He doesn't remember anything. Slightly tells him the building is being evacuated and convinces him to come along. At the beach, Arthur starts to remember flashes of what happened. He grabs the boys' hands and says he can help them. But before they move, he stops and spits blood. A second later, a chest burster erupts from his chest, killing him instantly. The boys scream as blood splashes everywhere. The small creature runs into the woods. Slightly tries to chase it but loses sight of it. Soon after, Slightly drags Arthur's body to the meeting spot near the shore. There, a group of Weyland-Yutani soldiers led by Moro is waiting. Moro looks disappointed when he sees the chest burster is gone. He orders his men to capture the boys. Back at the facility, Cavalier tries to communicate with the alien in the sheep's cell. He writes numbers on a screen, and the alien replies by stomping on the ground. When it finishes, it defecates heavily, and Cavalier suddenly understands something. The alien might communicate better inside a human body. Meanwhile, other soldiers capture the chestburster in a net. Moro's team tries to sneak into the facility but is surrounded and captured too. In the woods, Nibs and the siblings are still running when soldiers surround them. Wendy makes a strange noise, and the xenomorph jumps from a tree, attacking the soldiers. It kills them all in seconds. Then it walks up to Wendy, and she gently pats its head, telling it to hide and follow. The creature listens and disappears into the bushes. Hermit picks up a gun from one of the dead soldiers, but he's shaken by all the death. They finally reach the dock and get on a boat. But waiting there are Siberian, Mercedes, and more soldiers. One soldier grabs Nibs' favorite toy and throws it into the water. Nibs becomes furious and tears the man apart with her hands. A fight breaks out. Nibs and Wendy move fast, taking down soldiers with their enhanced strength. When Wendy tries to call for help, Hermit stops her. Siberian shoots Nibs in the shoulder, and she gets ready to strike back. Desperate to save her, Hermit shocks Nibs with an electric taser, knocking her out. Wendy turns on him, angry, while soldiers close in around them. After the capture, Moro's body washes up on the shore. The xenomorph finds him and explores the area. Not far away, Sylvia is leaving flowers at the graves. The alien sees her and tries to attack, but soldiers open fire. It runs into the forest, angry and wounded. Now, the xenomorph is moving all over the island, killing anyone it finds. Cavalier is told that the communications are down because Moro cut the main cables and Weyland-Yutani is also jamming the satellites. More and more teams are sent to hunt the creature, but it kills every one of them before they can even shoot. The rest of the captured aliens are still in their cells, and the Lost Boys are locked up together. Nibs thinks Curly betrayed them, but she swears she didn't. Adam tells Cavalier that they should evacuate, but Cavalier refuses. He's too busy watching Wendy and the sheep creature on his monitor. When Nibs jokes that they're all just ghosts, Wendy remembers something she once said, that humans should be afraid of hybrids. With that thought, she hacks into the system, disabling all the cameras. Then she plays loud sounds across the island, which the xenomorph hears and starts following. Next, Wendy hacks Sylvia's computer and plays old video clips of the Lost Boys, back when they were still normal kids, to make Sylvia feel guilty for all her fake promises of love and care. Sylvia, furious, smashes the screen. Meanwhile, Rashid's team is heading to the armory for more weapons. The elevator doors open by themselves. The team steps in, but halfway down, the elevator suddenly stops. The lights go out, and a computer voice announces, "Self-destruct sequence initiated." Wendy is behind it all, watching through the cameras, amused. As Rashid's team climbs into the ceiling to escape, Wendy gets bored and restarts the elevator, letting them drop to the next floor safely. She smiles and moves to another camera feed. Now, she sees Hermit locked in a cell with Morrow. Morrow tells Wendy through the camera that Nibs was out of control, that Hermit is one of them. Feeling confused and guilty, Wendy unlocks the cell door. Morrow slams it open, beating up the guard. Hermit stops him before he can kill the man. Morrow grabs the guard's gun and leaves. In the lab, Morrow surprises Cures. Both men draw their guns, but they move too fast for each other, disarming and fighting hand to hand. After several punches and throws, Morrow slams Cures onto a metal table, breaking it in half. He points a gun at Cures' head, ready to shoot, but he's distracted by the sound of another alien escaping. Cures uses the chance to grab him and choke him until Morrow passes out. Wendy hears Cavalier's voice nearby. She calls the xenomorph to guard the lab entrance. When Cavalier walks in, Wendy opens the cell and asks him to tell her his story. Cavalier says his father was a violent drunk, and as a kid, he built his first robot to kill him. The Lost Boys surround Cavalier. His guard tries to stop them, but Nibs jumps on him and beats him. Wendy gives each of her friends a task to attack different parts of the base. The xenomorph keeps killing soldiers outside, while Nibs finds Sylvia and finishes her off. Slightly and Smith find Cures and tie him up. Morrow wakes up later, tied too, and tries to convince them he didn't hurt their families, but Slightly knocks him out anyway. Adam finds Hermit first and lies, saying that Wendy is waiting for him in the office. When Hermit arrives, he notices that the sheep creature's container is open. The eye alien jumps out. Hermit hides inside the container and shuts the door just in time, but the alien crawls through the food hatch. It jumps, and Hermit blocks it with his hands. At that moment, Wendy crashes through the window and slaps the alien off her brother. Hermit grabs a weapon to finish it, but Adam appears and knocks him out. Wendy tries to fight Adam, but he's too strong and throws her aside. The alien leaps again, almost killing Hermit, until Wendy uses her hacking power to freeze Adam, since his body is part machine too. The eye alien escapes through a hole in the floor. Wendy and Hermit argue about what happened to Nibs. Wendy admits that she actually likes the aliens, because to her, they're honest. Cavalier calls for help, offering $1 million to anyone who can rescue him. Morrow suddenly appears, blocking his way. Soldiers rush in to protect him, but the siblings arrive and Wendy gives orders. The xenomorph slaughters the guards while Hermit knocks Cavalier out. On the beach, the xenomorph queen appears above Siberian and swallows her whole. The remaining soldiers open fire, but it's useless. Nearby, Curly finds a nursery full of alien eggs. The eye alien crawls into Arthur's dead body, using it as a new host. Soon, Weyland-Yutani recovery planes arrive at the island. The Lost Boys capture Cavalier and Adam and lock them in a cell. Wendy scolds them for experimenting on children. She tells Cavalier that he's no different from his father, a man who built monsters to hide his own pain. Outside the cell, hundreds of xenomorphs, both young and grown, gather around. Wendy looks at them and says, "Now we'll rule together." Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie stories.